Alright, you bastards, this is Some-Belgian-prepper, and today we're going to talk about blood types and how this is important for survival scenarios. But before we start, if you're interested in detective stories, there will be a link in the description to my book called Bloody Crosses. It's in Dutch, so if you're interested, take a look, I would say. Alright, so blood types. Blood types, I'm going to talk more about why it's important to know your blood type. Uh, I personally have never had a blood transfusion, but for so many people it's a lifesaver. And that is also very important why you need to know what your blood type is. Yeah, I mean, I think there's a rat in my compost square, so never mind that. Alright, yeah, blood types. So, first of all, know your blood type. Take a look at your medical history or your documents, and then you can tell what your blood type is. In my uh, case, that's blood type O negative. And what I discovered was that's actually a very important blood type because it's a first of all it's a rare blood type. Apparently, I didn't know this. Only 7 to 6% of the people have this, but the reason why it's important is uh, I'm what they call a universal donor. So that means that I can give to all the blood types because not everyone can give blood to certain people, and that's also the reason why I make this video, because I would encourage you go to a blood bank now and then, and you can save some lives, even if there is not a disaster scenario. But during a disaster scenario, it's just like supermarkets. When there is a mass casualty event going on, the blood banks will run dry very fast, or they have to transport it from further away. But during a major catastrophe, yeah, that could be a problem. Or in cases where uh, this kind of transport is not possible, we're talking about in the USA, there was this hurricane where certain towns were cut off from the world and because of the floods and this and that. So yeah, blood transfusions, they were dependent on either what they had in their local blood banks or by what people could give them at the moment. So if you are like me, blood type O negative, I would advise you, if there is a disaster scenario and you want to help, I would advise you take a visit at the hospital and say, I want to donate blood in case there is no blood around here. I got O negative, and they will, and that way you can help. It doesn't sound so as romantic as taking the shovel and digging people out of the rubble, but it is also a way to save lives and to help other people. All right. So, like I said, to know your blood type, and you know if you can help certain persons or not. So, can you determine your blood types? First of all, like I said, look at your medical records, and you will discover what your blood type is. If you don't know that, or you need to know it from somebody else, perhaps during a disaster scenario, some people have never looked at their blood type, but they can perhaps help with donating blood for transfusion. There are certain in pharmacies or in certain stores, you got these tests to determine your blood types. It is one of those tests where you put a drop of blood of your in certain patches, and it will tell you which blood type it is. So that is something cheap. It can help to have this in your medical cases, not cases in your medical pantry, so to say. So yeah, a blood type test can be very handy in case you want to know from somebody else what their blood type is, so they can help. If that's not possible, I would say there is a way that I saw in some Indian scriptures that were talking about a direct blood transfusion, uh, not directly, but it was a very, very primitive type of blood transfusion. And the way they determined if this person could take the blood of the other one, because they didn't know about blood types, is they took a little bowl and they took blood from either from both the patients and the donor, and they mix it and they see if it would clot. If it would not clot, were that was a sign that the patient could take the blood from the donor. So that is a very improvised way. There are many dangers with this. yeah, of course, if you're not sure, there are certain blood types that can reject afterwards or clot. That's a problem. But yeah, if there is no other option, that is a very very dangerous and improvised way to do that. And we're not even talking about transmittable diseases, so be very carefully about that. So you know your blood type, but how can this help you if you are in a car crash or you are unresponsible during a disaster or an accident? You're unconscious and you cannot tell what your blood type is. So here in Belgium, most people carry a wallet. Yeah, I know. There is we're there are still people who live without everything digital on their smartphone. But yeah, having everything on your smartphone is not helpful, because if they need to know your identity because you're not responsive and you don't have an ID card on you, they can just not know the code of your smartphone and look it up that way. Yeah, that's so I always advise to have a wallet and have some physical ID on you, whether it's a driver's license so they can know your name. Oh, sorry, I have to sneeze. It's one of those sneezes that doesn't come. Ah, I hate this. All right. Where were we? Oh yeah. If they carry you in the hospital, if they know the name, they can find your medical records and know your blood type that way. And yeah, that's that's always important to have your identification papers or your driver's license on your physical body, which is annoying if you get robbed and you get stabbed and robbed, and yeah, now you're without an ID. How can they discover then what your blood type or your name is? Well, there are two ways in that regard. First one, I would say, have something on you that has a name, whether it's a necklace with a name on top of it, a piece of jewelry, or in my case, my dog tags. Usually, if you go to the army, yeah, usually, always, if you go to the army, they will put on the dog tags your blood type in case you are wounded. And like I said, they don't always know your name because of in the confusion in the battle and things that get taken off during transport of the casualty. So, that goddamn sneeze. All right. So that's one way to do it. Always have this around your neck or in some other way that they can identify you and they cannot take it off, because during medical transport they often take off the jewelry or some other things to prevent that it will cut the blood flow or the airway. So be careful that they can see directly that it is something with identification. So yeah, if it's just a hard necklace with only your first letters on top of it, that's not really a help. Another thing you can do is like the German army, especially the SS soldiers. They usually had their blood type tattooed beneath the armpits. Why beneath their armpits? Because if you would be shot, blown up, or peppered with shrapnel, yeah, any part of the body can be taken off. If you lose your whole arm, usually, yeah, in that time at least, it was almost too late. But at least if your arm is blown off or you're totally peppered with shrapnel or bullets, uh, this is one of the places that is most protected by an arm and the front and back side of the body, and you always is hold your rifle like this or some other equipment, or you're walking like this. So that is the less likely place to be, um, yeah, to be wounded, so to say. But the problem is, if you have here a tattoo, it's in the German army. They knew that they would have this kind of tattoo. That's also the reason why the American soldiers would they let soldiers uh, take their jacket off to see whether they were SS or regular German soldiers. So the problem is, if you go to the hospital and they don't know, it's not something that people do, so they would not recognize it. In the best case scenario, they snip off your clothing and they can see perhaps to check if there are wounds, and perhaps they can then see if there is the tattoo with the blood type. So in that way, I would say it's a good backup if you lose something like a dog tag or something. So that's that's two ways to also be helpful to know to let your blood type know in an emergency situations. All right. So This was perhaps more of a rant than a video, than a learning video, but I hope this will make you think and take this kind of small, not hacks, but tips can save your life or from other people. So I hope you never have to have a blood transfusion, but if you do, I would advise you go to the blood bank and give some blood. It can save so many people. And yeah, like, subscribe, all the good stuff, and I see you next video. Cheers.